Shrek is a well-known movie, and it has everything an adolescent could want. Fart jokes, adult jokes, and emotion. Well, nobody really likes emotion. But it has a bunch of things everyone likes, like love and systematic racism.
Shrek is also a lesser-known musical, and it has everything an adolescent could want. Fart jokes, adult jokes, and shitty music. Well, nobody really likes shitty music, but it has a bunch of things everyone likes, like love and systematic racism. Today I'm going to compare and contrast them, because I'm a dumb guy who likes good grades. Shrek is a movie that you couldn't recreate if you had 1,000 years. With its creative and interesting source material, the book, Shrek, by William Steig, I think I pronounced that name right, they couldn't ruin it if they tried. But even if it strays away from its origins in a few aspects, it still is a solid S-tier movie. The movie, which you've probably guessed now, is called Shrek, was directed by Vicky Jensen and Andrew Adamson. It was written by a group of writers who came together to make a modern masterpiece, including the aforementioned directors. The movie is 3D animated, sometimes using CGI, with voices by some well-known actors, such as Mike Myers as Shrek and Eddie Murphy as Donkey, and many, many more. The movie is rated PG and cost a whopping $60 million to create. The movie begins introducing us to Shrek, a swamp-dwelling lonely ogre who hates everyone. He meets a donkey named Donkey in a forest. When he gets home, he finds his swamp has been filled with fairy tale creatures who were deported by Lord Farquaad, a midget who wants a girlfriend so he can become a king. He heads to Duloc, Lord Farquaad's kingdom, to ask for his land back, followed by Donkey. But he finds that everyone is gathered in town square, where a group of knights are fighting for the honor of going to a tower and saving a princess named Fiona, so that Farquaad can marry her. Shrek beats them all and is sent off to save the princess on the condition that he gets his swamp back afterwards. After they reach the tower where Fiona is being kept, they save her in a very unceremonious fashion, not even slaying the dragon protecting her. On their way back, we learn that Fiona has a curse, which changes her into an ogre at night. It can only be broken when she marries someone who will turn her form into theirs. She goes off to marry Farquaad before Shrek realizes he loves her and goes with Donkey and his dragon girlfriend to try saving her, and an epic fight breaks out. Go watch this movie if you want to see it. The music of Shrek is incredible. They chose only the best songs to include, one of which being All-Star, which is perfectly lined up with the slamming open of his house door at the beginning of the movie. They also have Believer by Smash Mouth at the end of the movie, which was sung by Donkey. These two songs are a perfect blend of upbeat and serious for a movie this ridiculous. Another interesting and alluring part of Shrek is the setting. It takes place in a fairy tale land with mythical creatures. Shrek's swamp is located near a kingdom called Duloc, ruled by a short tyrant named Lord Farquaad. There are many other incredibly detailed locations you can see within the movie. This movie is incredible. If you somehow haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it sometime. This movie is definitely well-suited for immature young adults who have terrible senses of humor, like myself, but can also be enjoyed by the whole family. The music is great, and so is the fantastic world of which it takes place in. It also has an average rating of 4.8 out of 5 on some site that I forgot because I wrote this like a while ago. This movie is a flawless, timeless masterpiece, and you must watch it. Shrek is a musical that you couldn't recreate if you had 1,000 years. With its creative and interesting source material, the movie, Shrek, by Andrew Adamson, they couldn't ruin it if they tried. But even if it strays away from its origins in a few aspects, it still is a solid A-tier musical. The musical, Shrek, was written by David Lindsay Abair. These costumes, that I have very mixed feelings on, were designed by Tim Hatley. The musical contains a few special effects, and the actors did very well in the show that I watched. The play begins, introducing us to Shrek at the age of 7, as his parents send him off, with the song Overture, Big Bright Beautiful World, which is about how everyone hates him, and how he should live alone. As he arrives at the swamp, which he calls home for the rest of the musical, we see an older version of him burst out of his outhouse, like the original, but with more property damage, and original music. This is still Overture, Big Bright Beautiful World, but I much prefer it to the first half. It sets up Shrek's character development as he portrays himself as a loner, who hates everyone. All of a sudden, the men of Lord Farquaad, a short tyrant who wants a wife to become king, are seen evicting fairy tale creatures into Shrek's swamp. When Shrek notices this, the fantastical creatures tell him where to find Farquaad to ask for his swamp back. On the way to Lord Farquaad's castle, Duloc, we meet Donkey, who sings about Shrek needing him. Shrek reluctantly accepts Donkey's help because he's lost and is led to Duloc by Donkey. When they arrive, they find Farquaad running a raffle for who will go to save his crush Fiona from a castle far away with a fire-breathing dragon inside. This is a really neat musical number where Fiona sings about thinking she'll be saved soon beforehand, and I like it. Anyways, Farquaad decides to send Shrek to Duloc on the condition that he be compensated with his land. Shrek and Donkey head to the castle where Fiona's being kept. Donkey gets kidnapped by the dragon, and Shrek finds Fiona, saving her in a very unceremonious fashion. They head back home and begin bonding on the way home, until they are nearly home, and Shrek hears Fiona talking to Donkey about being an ogre, but only part of it out of context. So Shrek goes home after receiving his deed from Lord Farquaad because he misunderstood what Fiona said, and then he realizes that Fiona did love him, and then he goes to Duloc to fight Farquaad and stop the wedding with Donkey's dragon girlfriend, which is never mentioned at all in the movie until this point. The music of this musical is incredible. It far surpasses that of its predecessor, while not going over the top. The music was never bad, and only rarely mediocre. The costumes are another interesting thing. They are so creative and interesting, and they're genuinely some of my favorite costumes in musical history. One last thing before I tell you my professional opinion on this matter. Shrek the Musical has many differences from the first one. Some are good, and others bad. The dragon talks in the musical, which is very strange. The ogres have hair in the musical, which is also very strange. And they never mention Donkey falling in love with the dragon. Overall, the music has so much more personality in this. It just, all of it just feels more immersive. Sure, there's, some really bad parts, and mediocre ones, but the good parts are so damn good. I genuinely have trouble deciding which one is better. But I think I gotta say that Shrek the Musical is better, and you should watch it. I really love the rendition of the original, even though the costumes are crap. You get used to it, so it's fine in the end. And it's only the ogres that look bad. But you've probably seen the movie, but I don't think you've most likely not seen the musical, and because it's really obscure.